Hello everyone, my name is Anthony Hicks, and today my group and I will be discussing the pros and cons of media and the news. But before we get into that, allow me to give you some history on the media and the news, going back from the first ever instance of a newspaper to what we currently have today. Now, in the article, The Beginning of Journalism, it was found that as early as 59 BC, Rome created the Acta Diurna, which was a news outlet that was hung around the city for all of the public to see if they were able to read. Now, it was published daily and is the very first instance of a newspaper ever in the world. During the Tang Dynasty in China, from about 618 AD to about 907 AD, China circulated a court report which was distributed to government officials to allow them to have daily updates on their current situation and day-to-day activities. Again, another example of a newspaper. But when you think about media and you think about the news, newspapers aren't maybe the first thing that come to mind or the only thing that come to mind. In the article History of Magazines, it was recorded that the very first magazine was created in 1731 by an Englishman named Edward Cave. He published the Gentleman's Magazine, which contained everything from essays, poems, to stories and political propaganda. Again, maybe you're thinking, well, reading isn't the only form of media. Well, fast forward a little bit, and in the 1920s, it is stated in the article First American TV Station that the first licensed television station in the United States comes from a radio broadcaster named Charles Francis Jenkins, who was known for broadcasting radio movies 5 nights a week, every single week. Fast forward to the 1990s, and in 1997, the first social media website was created, and it was named 6 Degrees. It was founded by Andrew Weinreich, and it actually paved the way for Facebook, Instagram, and all the other social media outlets that we have today. Now, speaking on today, if you look around the technology that you have from desktop computers, laptops, cell phones, stuff along those lines, we have an endless source of content at our disposal when it comes to media and the news. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't have a lot of that. I only have one thing, this and this and that. Well, even if you don't have any of that new technology, you're surrounded by billboards and ads and political propaganda scattered throughout each and every city that you go to. Media and news surrounds us and our daily lives from the moment we wake up to the moment that we go to sleep. Sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing. I will now pass it over to Sarah to talk about some of the good media can actually create. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah and I'm going to be talking about the pro side of mass media. So I would like to start with an article from The Independent, and it states, "The fundamental aim of journalism is to serve the people with news, views, remarks, and information on issues of public interest in a fair, unprejudiced, specific, and decent manner." So with mass media today, any kind of information is available on the internet, educated people around the world, and helps increase awareness on a variety of topics. So mass media also simultaneously benefits and also makes some more problems. But I'm going to be talking about the pros. So some of them would be they help us stay connected. They promote businesses. They give voices to the voiceless, spreads art and culture. And basically how it helps us stay connected, well, before mass media was a thing, you could live your whole life without knowing what's going on in the world around you. And it helps promote businesses because advertising is made so businesses can reach the consumers in an easier and faster way. Like when you're watching TV, there's ads, or on the newspaper, there's ads. And if you're even just scrolling through social media, you'll see ads to buy things. And it helps give voices to the voiceless because it helps that individual that usually is voiceless to have that power to use their voice. And it helps spread art and culture because there's radio, there's TV channels that talk about different cultures rather than the one that you live in. And so it helps enlighten other people and inform other people about things. And so I saw a quote on mastersincommunications.org. It says, mass media enables people to become informed, collaborative, and innovative way or stay in touch with friends and family. And before the 21st century, the mass media was classified into only 7 industries, but now we're in the 21st century and there's 8 industries, which are books, newspapers, magazines, recordings, radio, movies, television, and the internet. See, there is many ways that the mass media could be other than just the news. It's more than just the news. There is news articles that are also on the internet. You don't have to actually read a newspaper. You don't really have to watch the news anymore, but you do need to be careful and see which ones on the internet are actually reliable sources. But with the technology we have today, mass media is such a typical thing. It's very instant. You can spread some news that happened all the way across the world and hear about it in just a few minutes. Like if a tsunami happens, people in a completely different country will be able to hear from it or about it very quickly.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the cons of our news and media and how it may affect the viewer in a negative way. So many of you guys know that our news is really good for giving us the latest updates on our current events here and just in our society in general. But they also spread fake news. I'm sure we all know that. And sometimes it may not always be true. And I'm going to be explaining why. So from an article, let me go ahead and read it. It was from the Walden University, actually, and they talked about the pros and cons of the mass media. They said that there were more than 32,000 broadcast radios, TV stations in the US, and on top of that, we have our social media, we have newspapers, we have magazines, radio stations, all that. And that can cause false information and hate. And it's it's very seen that everyone knows that we talk about the news, we talk about, politics, Trump, what's going on right now and what he's doing, the whole George Floyd topic. I mean, if it's not the news that's talking about it, it's social media. I know Instagram, Twitter, Facebook has all of that. But I'm going to go ahead and show it to you today. It's called the fake news triangle, and it's basically what our media and anything that has to do with the news, how they show or spread their lies. Let me go ahead and show you. So it is called a false news triangle. And as you can see, they have social networks, as I mentioned. They have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any type of social media product and program. They go ahead and spread the news on there. They need motivation. So people that are getting hyped up and spreading these lies, and as well as tools and services. Again, as I mentioned, ABC 30, the TVs, the radio stations. And the sad thing is that they can, say, oh my God, this man was shot 5 times and died. When really, he may have gotten shot. Yes, it's unfortunate, but he didn't die. He got shot maybe 1 time and he was in the hospital. He's going to be okay. So basically, that is my topic, and that is what I am discussing with you guys, is about the cons of the media and news and how it spreads lies in a negative way. Thank you for watching.
There's a heavy knock on the door. Edward wakes up, breathing heavily. He is scared. He peeks through the window. There are military men at his door. You see, Edward was about to leak very important information about a corrupt politician. However, now he won't be able to, because they are there to kill him before he publishes. He is about to be killed for informing the public about the truth. Unfortunately, just like Edward, there are many reporters that share the exact same story and have been killed just to keep us well informed. Hi, my name is Veronica Castillo, and today I will be talking to you about the media. First, I will go over countries that are censored. Secondly, where in one country, being a reporter means you might just have to sacrifice your life. And lastly, media privilege in the United States. According to the CPG, committee that protects journalists, recently posted an article of the 10 worst censored countries. So you ready to hear them? First place goes to Eritrea, then North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Zanzibar, Vietnam, Iran, China, Myanmar, and lastly, Venezuela. What these countries have in common is their heavy censorship. They control all media. This means internet, social media, and news. And yes, including journalism. And anyone who dares to speak against their government can be killed or punished, making it the 10 worst censored countries in the world. Now, imagine being a reporter and meaning that you might have to sacrifice your life in order to keep the public informed. This is a reality in many countries where there's freedom of speech, but in reality, it is all a lie. Mexico is actually facing this problem right now. The reporters fear for their lives daily. According to the United Nations, Mexico is actually one of the highest numbers in the world where journalists are attacked and killed. They are silenced and stripped from their human rights. You see, these reporters are willing to give their lives in order to tell the truth of corrupt politicians and how they might support corrupt crime. Media privilege in the United States. In our country, according to the CPG, we are actually one of the lowest rates in the world for killed journalists. We are most definitely privileged for being able to practice journalism without that much fear. However, we also have to keep in mind that there were 8 journalists who were murdered for doing their job of keeping the public informed. We as a whole country do not realize the privilege that we have of freedom of speech, freedom of media, such as internet, social media, and news. So far, I have gone over the 10 worst censored countries. How in Mexico, being a journalist might mean you might lose your life, and the media privilege we have. Lastly, remember Edward? Well, Edward, he had realized he had had a horrible dream of what could have happened if he stayed in his home country, Mexico, to become a reporter. Lucky for him, Harvard was very interested in him and recruited him into their journalism program, which now he attends Harvard. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jared. Today we're talking about social media and the pros and cons of social media. For me, I'm talking on cons. I feel like social media has a lot of cons due to spreading false information, somebody's agenda that they're following. The social media in general seems to either be a positive or negative depending on how you look at it or the way it's being portrayed. In the last several years, you've seen people advertising or putting posts up saying that there is certain people who are dead. Find out later on that afternoon, after that individual finds out that there's rumors being spread about them, goes on and posts a video or a picture saying that they're alive and well. that the information that was put out was false. There's also, with all the information going on right now with our president and the whole Russian deal that's been going on, we don't know which way or what we're really understanding is to be true or if it's to be false. A lot of us today in today's social media, you assume that what's posted on the internet is to be true and to be valid. Unfortunately, it's not always true and it's not always valid, especially when you're doing certain types of research and you find information that you think to be valid and true, and it's not always true. There's also the situation going on right now with the Democrats versus Republicans. It seems like with what's going on with this Chaz situation as well as the Black Lives Matter, the information that's being portrayed to us is, we look at it as it's true information that we should be following and abiding to. But there's been people who have been filming videos of those news reporters or photographers and actually showing the other side of it. Like the lady who was caught pretending to drill screws into boards, helping board businesses up and making it sound like it's negative, and in reality she was just pretending and was taking a photo shot and getting back in her expensive vehicle and leaving the scene. There's also other negatives where there's the police situation on what's going on, and when you see the other side, it isn't bad. It's actually a positive situation. There was also Prince Henry, who it looked like he was flipping somebody off, but in reality he wasn't. He was putting 3 fingers up, but just the angle of which his view was, it looked like he was flipping somebody off. Just like as in the picture of a mother lion with a cub's head in its mouth, looked like it was eating its own cub. But the video or picture from the other side showed that she was actually holding the cub from the back of the neck and transporting it somewhere safe. You can't always believe what's on social media because everyone's out there with their agenda and what they want you to think is true. That's why, for me, I think social media is a con. It has a lot of cons to it. And for me, that'll be how I feel, and that's where I stand. Thank you.